Hello, everybody. Tim Knight here. Well, the bullish, precious, bearish equities today, at least, is looking good. We've got red across the board on equities, which is a nice shift from where it was earlier today. And the precious metals do what they do every day: lifetime highs. Palladium, our old favorite, has outshone them all in percentage terms, and it's a good day. So I've got some symbols gathered together, and we can thumb through them and catch up on these wigglings. We begin with a spider. Our old friend the wedge is still there. So the two principal patterns here are the bullish formation beneath this horizontal, which is a long way from being invalidated, and this wedge, which was broken weeks ago. And we had our big tumble on Friday. And since then, as I had said, that kind of established a new range for us, and we've been prancing all through that range. Green, green, red, red, just wild movements. Today, for a change, instead of just good or bad Chinese things being said, it has to do with regional banks across the US, because, gold doesn't go up hundreds of percent in a couple of years just because. I mean, there are reasons that silver is at lifetime highs, gold is at lifetime highs, gold miners are at lifetime highs. Something's rotten underneath the surface there, because it's, the reason these debasement trades are being so celebrated is because, well, fiat's getting really debased, and that's, as the reserve currency, that's kind of a big deal. The cubes have hung out below their own broken trend line, like so. Today, across the board, everything opened strong and is currently trading weak. I like on the small caps, which is one of my shorts right now, near the lows of the day. As I glance over at my 24 short positions, every single one has moved profitable today, so that's pretty cool. And it's like I say, it's a nice shift. We've got a bearish engulfing pattern for the day, pretty much across the board. Semiconductors started the day strong and are a little weaker now, although the past couple of weeks we've just been banging around this range here. Just want to re-emphasize that we have not crossed below this trend line. It's unbroken, and we're near lifetime highs right now, even though we've got some red going on. It's an odd thing, because here, and here, we seem to be there seems to be like a ceiling up there. Very strong ceiling holding prices back on the SMH. But as I mentioned earlier, one of my short positions, I've got a number of short ETFs. One of them is IWM, which I got into yesterday and added more this morning. And it's a little bit murky, because on the one hand, we've got a huge bearish engulfing pattern. We pretty much opened at the highs and are presently trading near the lows for the day. So that's good. We're also just barely crossed back below that trend line. So that's also good. What's not so splendid is we're finding support at the moment at this line right here. And what this line represents is that high way back in November 2021. And so it was the high here, and we matched it here, plus a few pennies, and we've beat it here. We've gotten above it. And so, as much as I appreciate today's tumble, I'm toying with the idea of maybe covering on this particular position, just because it's finding support at that very important multi-year line of like 4 years. So we'll see. Emerging markets. This had a lift today. We've basically gone up 3 days in a row, and it is also near its own, I think, lifetime highs. It's back all the way up. No, not lifetime highs, but at least multi-year highs, going back for quite some time. It's odd, because the levels we're at now are the same as we were back in 2007. So, 18 years have passed, and basically EEM has made no progress. But in the shortest term, just going back to the past year, this trend line got busted on Friday, but we're above it again. It's just kind of a murky mess at this point. Okay, well, a couple of years back, I don't think I would have ever mentioned gold or silver at any time. And now it's like we could do every single day show only on precious metals because they are a sensation right now. The front month of gold, triple digit gain. So not long ago, 4,000 seemed preposterously high, but then it's like 4,100, 4,200, 4,300. Every day sets another high. And you can see here that even short term, ever since August 20, there's been hardly a downtick in sight. I mean, the only bar that was even kind of down was back here on October 9 for whatever reason. It shook it right off. I mean, 2 days later, it was blasting above to another high. So we've gone up about $1,000 in 2 months, something like that. Pretty eye-popping stuff. And if we go back to the entire history here, you can see that it has been a really amazing move. And as I've mentioned, it seems incredible, but gold was like borderline free back in the year 2000, $230 an ounce, something like that. So it's what, 20 times that, something along those lines. And this is a logarithmic chart, so this is a very honest representation of the movement. So gold, I was thinking maybe 5,000 this year might happen. We can have it this month at this rate. I mean, this is just going just bonanza. And so naturally GLD, the ETF for gold, is also at a lifetime high. You can see here, even at this 18, 20-year chart, that the most recent couple of bars stick out like a sore thumb. Just a huge move. Going back down to the yearly level, this is why I don't try to get cute and try to dare short anything to do with precious metals, because this thing just keeps blasting higher. And people I respect talk about silver at $500 an ounce. It's like those kooky Bitcoin predictions about $1 million a coin. Well, you're getting some equally loony ideas about precious metals, but they at least I think are a little more plausible. Silver, as you know, is up to a lifetime high, almost 3% gain. If you look at the lifetime history of this, you can see we have beaten the high from back in 1979, Hunt Brothers cornering in the market. We've beaten the 2011 peak. So those are basically a match, and then we are above that now. So in nominal terms, prices never seen before, and a massive, we're talking decades and decades and decades of time here, massive cup with handle, bullish pattern. So ultimately, in nominal terms, how high is this going to go? 100, 200, 500? Remains to be seen. It looks, if you have a bunch of silver, you wouldn't be crazy to just forget you have it and just like ignore it for a while, because I think it's got a great history, great future coming. SLV, also lifetime high, not surprisingly. That is bested the level set back in 2011. This chart doesn't go back as far because SLV as a financial instrument didn't exist as long as the silver futures contracts have. And so with all this happening, the miners are also having another good day and are also at another lifetime high. You can see that by and large, for almost a year going back, every month is just a big blast higher. And there is the daily chart, and there seems to be no stopping it. Of course, we can't talk about precious metals without at least a glance at our old pal palladium, which in percentage terms tends to be beating gold and silver day to day. It's dialed back some. It was up like 5-6% earlier today. It's up 3.43% right now in PALL. The futures themselves are up 4.13%. And unlike gold and silver, it's not at a lifetime high, but you can see with this very long-term chart, what a monster of a green bar this is, bigger than any other bar, except, maybe this one. But this is one of the biggest moves that we've seen in the history, in all the history of PALL. So, jaw-dropping. As far as individual shorts, like I said, I'm kind of loaded to the teeth right now in individual positions. I do have some ETFs. I'm short XLB, XLE, IWM, like I said. But as far as some individual equities that I'm short, here's a few, just in no particular order. Here's Carvana, which is down almost 3% today. A lot of these in fundamental terms are very richly valued. DHI, a home builder, turning away nicely from that consolidation zone. I made mention of home builders yesterday, XLB broadly, and then DHI in particular, as being interesting plays, and that's so far so good. Today's a good day for the shorts on those. Global Payments, GPN, down about 2.5%. Hilton, HLT, also down nearly 3%. Nice turning away from this small distribution top on Hilton. IBM, which was at a lifetime high with this beautiful shooting star not too many days ago, that was for now the end for the rally, and it's been falling nicely since then. So we're down a little over 1.5% on IBM. Here's a more thinly traded one, Lumen. And if you go back to the entire history, it had collapsed and had this explosive move higher. And since then has done kind of this V bottom that we've seen. Probably one of my smallest positions, but entered this today with a tight stop at 7.50. I mentioned XHB. This is the home builders ETF, and I shorted this one yesterday. And I mentioned this one specifically yesterday, I believe, because I think that gap that we see right there is a conservative stop loss. I've set my stop tighter just to yesterday's high, but this is a nice little topping pattern. We had our dip, our pushback, which in my estimation topped yesterday, and we're starting to retreat away from that. So that's XHB. A couple more of these individual shorts. Hang on, baby. There's United Healthcare, UNH. This is a very pretty gap play. And so we back this up, not that far back. Let's go to a 1 year on this one. There's our gap. So there's the big plunge right there. We sealed that beautifully a few days ago. Hello, Mr. Duke. I'm almost done. So it went flying higher, closed the gap, and now we're starting to slip a little bit lower. And one last one, Delta, DAL. We've got 2.67% drop on that one, even with oil getting cheaper. So that's surprisingly weak. So just to wrap things up, let's just hit three big equity futures. Here's the ES, down 64.5 right now. Our old wedge there is the key, big plunge, and then kind of peaking yesterday and then slipping away today. Tomorrow being Friday, that may have some psychological impact because people are so on edge these days about geopolitics. That may play into it. The NQ has gone from a triple-digit gain to a triple-digit loss. As you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row, we have, on the whole, been either opening or closing at very similar levels. So it's a pretty tight range following this plunge. And finally, the RTY, which until just yesterday, which was at lifetime highs, was being exceptionally strong. And at present, it's a bit of a murky mess. As I said, we are below the trend line again, but we're above this very long-term peak, which was anchored back to the November 2021 peak in the COVID mania. So this is the kind of fuzziest of all because it's been jumping on either side of that trend line. Bottom of the hour, I will say adios, and we'll wrap up the week tomorrow.